August 2021, 2023. Without wasting much time, let us start the discussion. Take a look at these articles from yesterday's newspaper. First article is Chief Justice of India recently released a handbook. This handbook provides guidance on how to avoid using harmful gender stereotypes, especially those about women. It identifies a language that promotes such as stereotypes and suggests alternative words that are more neutral and more inclusive. So in our discussion, we will discuss what are changes made by Supreme Court and how it will help in tackling gender stereotypes. Okay, before getting into the discussion, I have highlighted the syllabus regarding this discussion for your reference. You can go through it. First, you have to know that this handbook was titled as Handbook on Combating Gender Stereotypes. What is objective of this handbook? The goal of this handbook is to encourage the use of languages that reflects a more respectful understanding of gender. It also provides equal rights for all individuals regardless of their gender. Ultimately, it aims to promote a gender sensitive language and tries to eliminate the gender stereotyping. Here I have mentioned the word gender stereotyping. What is gender stereotyping? What are the negative impacts of gender stereotyping on society? See, gender stereotyping is the practice of assigning a certain characteristic words or behavior to a person based on their gender. These stereotypes can have a significant impact on the how people are treated and perceived. For example, a common stereotype is that women are more emotional than men. This stereotype can lead to women being dismissed or ignored in the workplace, or it can make it difficult for them to get the same opportunity as men. Another common stereotype is that men are better at math and science than one. This stereotype may discourage girls from pursuing careers in this field. Gender-based violence, harassments, and discriminations are often rooted in gender stereotypes. These stereotypes are harmful because they lead to a discrimination and prejudice, and it can also lead to normalization of these harmful behavior. Gender stereotypes often result in unequal pay and disparities in the workforce, so it is important to challenge gender stereotypes in order to create a more inclusive and more equitable society. Okay, now let us come back to the handbook released by Supreme Court. We shall see what are the important changes made by the handbook. The handbook made many changes regarding the use of certain words in the judiciary. For example, the handbook suggests using the phrase woman who are engaged in sexual relations outside of marriage instead of the word adulteress. It also suggests using the word woman and wife without the prefixes just and obedient. The handbook also provides more inclusive words such as partner instead of husband or wife. It says that judges and legal practitioners should be aware of the way they describe the people's role in the society. For example, instead of housewife, use the word homemaker. The handbook also advises to be mindful of the pronouns. For example, it suggests using the pronouns they instead of he or she. Some examples like this are given in the picture. You can go through it. Now, why is it important for judges to use proper language? The word used by the judges are important because it has a significant impact on how the law is interpreted and applied. It can be used to uphold the values of the law and to promote the equality and justice. For example, if a judge uses the gendered language such as a manpower or fireman, it can reinforce the idea that certain roles and occupations are only suited for men. Similarly, if a judge uses the stereotypical languages such as hysterical or emotional, it can reinforce the idea that women are less capable and less rational than men. And this have a negative impact on women who are seeking to be taken seriously in the legal system. The handbook argues that it is important for the judges to use gender neutral and inclusive language whenever possible. Let us see some of the significance of the handbook in combating gender stereotyping. First is ensuring fairness and impartiality. Judges are supposed to be impartial arbiters of law, and the language they use should not reflect their own personal biases or opinions. Second one is promoting equality and justice. The language that judges used should not reinforce the stereotypes or discriminations. It should be inclusive and respectful of all people. Third important significance is to uphold the rule of law. Stereotypical languages can harm the application of law and undermine the constitutional principles of the equality and dignity. Since our legal system is based on the principle of equality, the language used in the court should reflect these principles. Now we shall see some of the Supreme Court judgments that condemn the gender stereotyping in the past. First one is Joseph Shine versus Union of India. In this case, Supreme Court struck down the offences of adultery under Section 497 of the IPC. The code said the law on adultery was codified rule of patriarchy. It confined the woman to a narrow sphere in the behavior. This is an important judgment. The second one is the state of Jharkhand is. In this judgment, Supreme Court puts a categorical ban on the two-finger test. The court said the test was irrelevant to the determination of rape. It violates the dignity of the rape survivors. Then in the state of Punjab was Gurmeet Singh case, the court observed that the testimony of survivor or victim of sexual violence is inherently credible. The court said that allegations should not be dismissed simply because of assumptions that women often follows the accusement. See, these are the some verdicts that are important in challenging the gender stereotypes and promoting gender equality. Now coming to the conclusion part, see, the language is a vital tool for law because language expresses the values and intention of the lawmakers and judges. So it is important for the judges and the judiciary to be aware of the impact of their words, and they have to use the words very carefully. This release of handbook is important step in the creating gender neutral language in Indian judiciary. As the Chief Justice rightly mentioned, the language a judge uses reflects on not only on their interpretation of the law but their perception of the societal self. With this note, let us conclude this discussion. In this discussion, we saw what is gender stereotyping, negative impacts of gender stereotyping in the society. Then we saw some changes made by handbook. We saw the positive impacts these changes will bring to the judiciary, and finally we saw some of the judgments given by the Supreme Court and that reinforces the gender equality. Okay, with this let us conclude this discussion and take up the next news article. Take a look at this article from yesterday's newspaper. According to the article, new studies on the Wolf-Rayet star has revealed that it might produce a magnetar after the supernova explosion. This is about the article given here. So in our article discussion today, let us quickly go through what is supernova and what is magnetar. Okay, supernova is nothing but a large explosion that takes place at the end of a star's life cycle. It is the largest explosion that can take place in the space. As you know, stars are celestial bodies that emits their own lead a very good example. For example, for a star is the sun. See, stars are formed in the cloud of gas and dust, which is known as nebula. Though the stars shine for many thousand or millions of years, stars do not last forever. Over the time, changes occur in the star, and the final stage of the star's life depends upon the star's size. Here in the image you can see how the star develops into a supernova. Okay, a supernova explosion happens when there is a change in the core of the star. Changes can occur in two different ways, both resulting in supernova. See, the first type of supernova happens in a binary star system. Binary stars are the two stars that orbit the same point. One of the star, which is carbon oxygen with white dwarf steel matter from its companion star. Eventually the white dwarf matter. When a star has too much matter, it explodes, resulting in supernova. This is the first type. Second type of supernova occurs when a single star comes to a end of its lifetime. As the star runs out of nuclear fuel, most of its mass flows into the core. The core eventually becomes too heavy to withstand its own gravitational force. The core collapses, which results in the giant explosion of the supernova. There is interesting fact here is that our every own sun can develop into a supernova, but remember the sun does not have enough mass to become a supernova. So instead of our sun might develop into a planetary supernova. Okay, see, during the supernova explosion, the core collapses and the crushes together every proton and electron into the neutron. If the core of the collapsing star is between 1 and 3 times the mass of the sun, then the newly formed neutrons can stop the collapse, resulting in leaving behind a neutron star. But if the core has mass more than that, it will continue to collapse into a stellar mass black hole. Okay, so depending upon the size of the star might turn into a neutron star after a supernova explosion, or if it is a heavy enough, it might turn into a black hole after supernova explosion. Okay, see, neutron stars can be absorbed into two forms. One is pulsar and other is magnetar. These two classes of neutron stars are called non-quiet neutron stars. Here, pulsars are rapidly rotating neutron stars. These neutron stars blast out pulses of radiation at regular intervals of time. May range from seconds to milliseconds. They have very strong magnetic field which pushes out jets of particles along the two magnetic poles. These accelerated particles produce a very powerful beam of light. Since the magnetic field is not aligned with the spin axis, these beams of particle and light are dumped around as the star rotates. Okay, now coming to the magnetars. See, in a typical neutron star, the magnetic field is trillion times the Earth's magnetic field, but in a magnetar, the magnetic field is another 1000 times stronger than a neutron star. So the magnetar is nothing but a neutron star with an extreme and powerful magnetic field. Also, in all neutron stars, the crust of the star is locked together with the magnetic field. So any change in one will affect the other. The crust of the neutron star is usually under immense strain, and even a small movement of crust will cause a giant explosion. But since the crust and magnetic fields are tied together, that explosion ripples through the magnetic field in a magnetar. With its huge magnetic field, any movement in the crust can cause the magnetar to release a vast amount of energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation. For example, a magnetar called SGR 180620 had a burst wherein 1/10 of a second it released more energy than our sun has emitted in the last to one Lakar. Such powerful will be the explosion. It happens in the magnetar due to the movement in the crust. Okay, understand this is so. That's all about regarding this discussion. We saw what is neutron star, we saw what is supernova, we also saw some points about pulsar and magnetars. Now with this, let us conclude this discussion and take up the next news article. Look at this news article. Yesterday, Russia's Roscosmos agency said that Luna 25 spacecraft crashed into moon after it spun into uncontrolled orbit. Luna 25 is a pilotless spacecraft and it was launched to land in the South Pole area of the moon. Scientists all over the world show interest in this region because of the occurrence of water ice in the region. It had been expected to land on August 21, but its contact was lost on August 19 itself. This is due to its collisions with the surface of the moon. See, only 3 governments have managed successful moon landing, which includes Soviet Union, US and China. And after the disintegration of USSR, Luna 25 is the first lunar mission of Russia since 1976. So, its a failure actually underscores the decline of Russia's space power status. This is about the article given here in this context. Let us quickly go through some important points about Luna 25. Luna 25 is a robotic lunar lander mission developed by Russia's space agency Roscosmos. It is a part of the broader lunar globe program, which aims to explore the moon and conduct the scientific experiments on its surface and surrounding environment. The primary goal of Luna 25 is to conduct the detailed studies of the moon's south pole region, mainly in the south pole at Aitken Basin. To be the specific in the mission, aimed to study the composition of the polar regolith, that is the rock, to study the plasma and the dust components of the lunar polar exosphere. Luna 25 was launched on August 10, 2023 using the Soyuz rocket. It was launched almost a month after the launch of Chandrayaan 3. However, it covers 3.84 lakh kilometer journey within days. This is mainly due to the lighter payload and more fuel storage. This aided the Russian mission to follow a more direct trajectory towards the moon. This saves time while reaching the greater distance. The liftoff mass of Luna 25 is just 1700 kilograms compared to Chandrayaan 3 900 kilogram, while Chandrayaan 3 took a circuitous route to gain velocity with low fuel. Luna 25 took a direct trajectory towards the moon. Another reason Luna 25 can land a couple of days before India is because Luna 25 dawn into its landing site will happen earlier. See, 1 lunar day is equal to 14 Earth day. Since the payloads are being powered by solar panels, landing happens at the beginning of the solid. This ensures that experiment gets full 14 Earth days worth of sunlight. Apart from this being lighter than the Indian missions, Luna 25 does not carry a rover. Chandrayaan 3 has a rover capable of moving around 500 meters. The Russian lander has 8 payloads. You can see that in the image. Even here, since it has a heating mechanism as well, power source other than just the solar panel, the Russian mission was expected to work for a year, whereas since the Indian mission lacked both, it was built to last only 1 lunar day, 14 Earth day. That is all regarding this discussion. In this discussion, we saw some important points about Luna 25. We saw the difference between the Chandrayaan and Luna 25. Let us conclude this discussion by taking up the next news article. Take a look at this news article. This article is about generative AI. In this article, the author points out various issues surrounding generality via. In addition to this, he also suggest some solutions to tackle this issue. So in our discussion, we will first understand what is generative AI, and then we will discuss the points. And before getting into the discussion, he have highlighted the syllabus regarding the go through it. And now let us start. The generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can produce the various types of contents like text, image, audios and so on. The contents that are produced by generative AI are usually similar to humans created content. In other words, the points produced by generative AI are indistinguishable from human created content. This is because the GAI uses algorithms and models to generate new data based on the patterns that it had learned from the existing data. This means that generative AI does not replicate the existing content, rather it generates its own content based on the learned patterns. These factors makes the content of the generative AI similar to the human created contents. One of the famous example of generative AI is ChatGPT. The ChatGPT is a chat bot that can create a human-like conversational dialogues. For example, if you Ask ChatGPT to tell a story, to tell you a story as human would say it. Even help you with the writing letters and essays. Yes, you can ask the ChatGPT to provide a love letter with some specialized message. It will provide you such a personalized love letter, and the letter would look like a human wrote. ChatGPT is one of the examples of generative. I hope you understand the basic points about generative AI. Now moving forward, let us see the advantage of generative AI. Firstly, generative AI will help you increase the efficiency and productivity in various industries. For example, in the manufacturing industry, the generative AI can be used to analyze the defects in the production process. By doing this AI will help to reduce the wastage stage time consumed, thereby increasing the productivity in the process. Apart from this, the will automation help in automation repetitive and time consuming tasks in the industry. This in turn will increase the efficiency of the industry. This is the first advantage. Secondly, generative AI has the potential to increase the creativity and innovation. See, the generative AI can generate ideas, designs and solutions to various problems that would take humans a lot of time to find a solution. So it can bring up creativity and innovation in industries like arts, music and engineering. This is in turn helps in growth of these industries. Thirdly, the generative AI can help provide access to new resources and generate new data such as simulation, prediction and forecast. For example, it can provide prediction on complex issues like climate change. This can help us understand the future impacts of climate change, allow us to make informed decisions. And final advantage is personalization and customization. See, the generative AI can help improve the personalization, customization various industries. For example, in the fashion industry, generative AI can be used to custom fit clothing based on measurements respective person. Then in gaming industry, it can help us create unique and personalized gaming experience for each place. So personalization and customization of things is one of the important advantage of generative AI. Having understood the advantage, now let us look into the disadvantages. First disadvantage is that generative AI can sometimes leads to a spread of false and misleading informations. As we saw earlier, it can be able to create contents that are indistinguishable from the humans. See, if this feature ends up in the hands of a bad actor, it will create chaos in the society. For example, let us consider one particular person wants to damage the image of US President Joe Biden. So with the help of generative AI, the person can make a video where it looks like that US President gives hated speech against a particular community in the US. See, this video here is created using generative AI, but the common people do not know how the video was created. So it will end up in spreading a false and misleading information, which in turn brings a chaos to the society. This is the first disadvantage of generative AI. The second disadvantage is regarding privacy concern. As we saw earlier, the generative AI creates a content based on the learned patterns from the existing data. This means AI needs to collect the existing online data to generate its content. This raises a concerns. See, there is no clear-cut policies or rules worldwide that regulates the collection, storage and use of data by AI tools. So there is a chance that privacy of a person or business can be violated by the generative AI tools. The third disadvantage is a huge energy consumption. Since the generative a model relies on the advanced technology, it requires huge quantity of electricity to run. See, we need produce high energy to run AI models for a country like India, which relies on fossil fuels based energy production. The high energy demand will ultimately harm the environment. These are some of the disadvantages associated with the rate of AI now. Which can be done to address the concerns. Firstly, the government should devise strong regulation and guidelines to address the issues of the privacy concerns associated with the generative AI. Apart from this, government should develop a robust data governance framework. On one hand, the framework will help ensure data privacy, security and compliance in the system, and on the other hand, the framework will help address the concerns in AI output. Secondly, the government should establish a strong partnership with external expert technology providers and relevant industry body to deal with the generative AI tools. See, the collaboration with these partners will help the government to identify the best practices and to share the insights on addressing the common challenges related to generative AI. These are some of the measures that can be taken to address the concerns around the generative AI. That is all regarding this discussion. We saw that what is generative AI besides advantage, besides disadvantage. Finally, we saw 2 steps that can taken to address the concerns around the generative AI. Now let us conclude this discussion by taking up the next news articles. Look at this article from yesterday's newspaper. This article deals with microplastics. So in our discussion today, we will see what is microplastic, why, where it is used, and finally we will see how they can be removed from the water bodies. Okay, let us start by understanding what are microplastics. Microplastics are defined as a synthetic solid particles with size ranging from 1 micrometer to 5 millimeter, and these particles are insoluble in water, and the major source of microplastic includes commercial product development and breaking down of large plastics. See, the microplastics are added to the range of products including cosmetics, personal care and cleaning products. They are relatively cheap ingredients and are used in these products for a variety of purposes. This includes as abrasive or exfoliant, bulking agent to prolong shelf life, for the controlled release of active ingredients. Obviously they were commonly used in products like exfoliating scrubs, toothpaste, lotions to provide texture. Also they are used in industrial processes like fillers, additives or reinforcing agents in a variety of materials and products. That includes paints, coatings, adhesives and construction materials. These are the important areas and applications of microplastics. Okay, see, the issue with the microplastic is that they cannot be captured by the wastewater treatment system. So if they are washed down the drain, after use they can end up in the rivers and finally end up in the ocean. Due to their composition, they persist in the environment and they have the ability to absorb the toxins and potentially transfer them up the marine food chain. This affects the health of the marine ecosystem, and ultimately these microplastic will end up in our plate through a seafood. Now this is the major issue. So is there many steps that can taken to address this issue? The article that we are discussing now deals with this only. See, according to this article, the scientists at University of British Columbia Bioproducts Institute have found that if the tannins are added to a layer of wood dust, it will create a filter that can trap all microplastic particles present in the water. Here the tannins is nothing but a class of naturally occurring polyphenolic compound found in various plants. Okay, these tannins are natural deterrents with astringent paste and binding properties. Now coming back, when the scientists tested this combination of tannins and wood dust in most models, the process was proved to prevent the accumulation of microplastic in organ as well. So this can be commercialized and used to prevent the accumulation of microplastic in our oceans. So that's all regarding this discussion. In this discussion we saw what is microplastic, what are the sources and applications of microplastic, and finally we saw how these microplastics accumulation in our water body can be filtered out. And now with this let us conclude this discussion and take up the next news article. Take a look at this article. This is from the yesterday's newspaper. See, recently a large number of megalithic stones were found in Malappuram district of Kerala. The stones are spotted from a single site during a recent excavation conducted by the Kerala State Archaeological Department. Note that stones are popularly called as topically in Malayalam they are hemispherical laterite stones that are used as a lid on burial urns. During the megalithic period, archaeologists also found the urns that were covered with the hat stones. They are noted that these findings were different from the previous findings. The archaeologist said that they usually get the cremated bones from the urns, but this time they found the ashes in the urns, which is a special findings. See, Thiruvannayapuram town in Kerala, its neighborhood have plenty of archaeological sites, so the local people are requesting the government to provide a heritage status to the town. And this is all about the news article. So in our discussion today we will see some points about megalithic culture, and first of all you have to know that megalithic culture, you have to know that the combination of the term two Greek words, that is mega, lithu. Here mega means large, lith means stone, so basically means large stone. In earlier times the megalith served as a memorial structure and physical marker of the megaliths, where the placed burial side of the dead person to mark the place of the burial. This practice is what is termed as megalithic culture. This is a culture of placing a large stones on the burial site. This is called megalithic culture. See, the megals are most of them are found in the peninsular India, and they are mainly concentrated in the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Now we will see the 5 major types of megaliths found in India. First one is the stone circles. The stone circles refers to a large standing stone. They are arranged in a circle or in the form of ellipse around the burial site. Second one is dolmen. Dolmen is a type of megalith. It is a rectangular box-like chamber placed above the burial site. It is constructed with the 5 slabs. The 4 slabs are placed vertically. 5th slab is used as a capstone. Okay. The third one is cyst burial. See here, the cyst is shaped like a coffin. It was used as a enclosure of dead bodies. And then the 4th one is pit burial. Pit burial contains mortal remains of one or more human beings. Here the mortal remains of humans are buried with a variety of surface stones in the conical form. And the final one is the menhirs. Menhirs are 2 large single long stones that are placed upright above the burial site. And these are the 5 major that is found in the Indian subcontinent. With this information, let us conclude this discussion. Now, having come to the new prelims discussion, practice questions. We have 4 practice problems questions. Today let us see one by one. Let us take up the first question here. Megalithic sites from south to north direction. Now look at this map. If we go from south to north, additional layer comes first, followed by Brahmagiri, then Higher Benagal and Nagarjunakonda. So the correct answer here is the option B. Moving on to the question based on our magnetars discussion. They are asking how magnetars differ from neutron star. So the correct answer here is the option C. Magnetars are a type of neutron star with extremely powerful magnetic field. Okay, now moving on into the next question. This question is based on Chandrayaan-3 discussion here. 3 statements are given. We have to find any statements which are given here are incorrect. Now let us take that. Chandrayaan-3 is the second attempt to land a robot in the lunar surface. Statement is correct. Moving on to the second statement. Lander Vikram and rover Pragyan of Chandrayaan-3 remains as a Chandrayaan-2 mission, and the statement is also correct. Moving on to the third option. Chandrayaan-3, like Chandrayaan-2, will take rather a long interesting route to moon. The statement is also correct. Since all the statements are given here are correct, they are asking for the incorrect statement. So the correct statement here is option D, none of the above. Next, moving on the quiz questions for you today. This question is about microplastics. Okay, interested aspirants can write the answer for this question in the comment section, and the mains question based on today's discussion are displayed here. Interested aspirants can write the answers for the question in the comment section. If you like the video, today's video, comment and share with your friends. For more updates regarding UPSC preparation, subscribe to our channel UPSC IAS. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.